You found yourself on another episode of Locked On Bulls. In today's episode, we're going to discuss Marc Stein reporting that the Chicago Bulls don't want to trade multiple of their veterans and how Lonzo Ball's contract could be included in that as well. We're also going to talk about Coby White being the leader right now for most improved player, according to us. And can the Bulls make it 3 wins in a row when they face off against the Houston Rockets tonight? All that and more on today's Locked On Bulls.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. That's Pat the Designer, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze and host of the Chicago Bears podcast over at ESPN 1000. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls and Chicago Bears Central YouTube pages and podcasts. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150. If your team wins, visit FanDuel.com/lockedon today to get started. All right, Pat. Hey, Marc Stein reported that the Bulls aren't looking to move multiple of their veterans. Now, that alone is interesting enough, considering what we've heard is that the Bulls may look to explore trading DeMar DeRozan if they can't sign a contract extension, which last we heard they're still far apart on a deal. And we already know that Zach LaVine, the trade request, is out there. So when you hear that they're not looking to necessarily move multiple veterans, do you believe that? Because they may be forced to, is the kind of way I've been looking at it at this point.
I think that it's one of those things where, right, like you kind of talk about it as they don't want to move the other guys, right? Like I didn't hear that and think immediately, oh, the Bulls have no desire to move on from Zach LaVine or from DeMar DeRozan or from, right? Like I heard that as, right, we're not trading AC, we're not trading Drummond, we're not blowing this thing up, we're not taking it down to the studs and trying to reset the team that we have here with a completely young team. We're more willing to go in and try and win games as with the veteran presence that we have on our bench as well. Multiple to me, I think in this sense is more than 2. I think you're going to be forced to with Zach and DeMar in some sense. But outside of that, it doesn't feel like the Bulls ever want to get rid of Alex Caruso. They're probably not moving on from Torrey Craig, depending on when he comes back, right? Like, and you wouldn't be able to trade him now anyway with him injured. You're not, right? Like, you're not moving on from some of these guys that you feel are the ancillary pieces in trade deals. And that's kind of how I took the report as.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that, at the end of the day, we know that the Bulls could potentially really make some moves this trade deadline. Some because of a request, some because of just it makes sense business wise. Some they're trying to. It's funny because the moves that the other NBA teams want them to make, and Andre Drummond and Alex Caruso, they're completely against moving. And so it's going to be an interesting trade deadline for the Chicago Bulls because we keep hearing the same thing, regardless of the players and teams being in and out on players, whatever it is. The thing that remains. This was in Marc Stein's report as well. The Bulls are not looking to go full rebuild. And if people have been listening, we've been saying this for about 2 years now? 2 years we've been saying?
I mean, we've been saying this since we took over the podcast. Pretty much. Like it's not something new. It's AK. Yeah. It's Acme. As long as Acme's here, the Bulls will never blow it up. Get over it. We're going to be a 30-win team some years. We're going to be a 60-win team eventually. We're going to be a freaking Western Conference Finals team.
Western Conference? If we're in the Western Conference Finals, that's crazy. That's right. That's why. Hey, I mean.
When's Vegas getting here, baby? Maybe we get shifted around. No, we're going to be an Eastern Conference Finals team some years. We're going to be a team that's going to be high in the lottery some years. That's what the tenure of AK is going to be.
Agree. Completely agree with you there. But one of the interesting things that came out in this report is something that I didn't know. So I knew that injuries were covered by insurance, but Marc Stein pointed out that the Chicago Bulls could look to use Lonzo Ball's contract to make some deals happen, and that teams would be interested to take that back because it is covered 80% by insurance. The immediate thing when I read that was, there's no way Jerry Reinsdorf is going to give up a contract that he only has to pay 20% on for a contract that he's going to have to pay 100% on.
I agree with you, but in theory, with what we basically have left on this deal, that would be the right move, right? Like, I mean, you got 1 year left. You got 20% on it. You've got young players that are developing at this point. Like, you're not paying out of that. Does it? Well, I guess the question is, does that count towards or against your luxury tax at all?
Well, so the contract, the whole contract counts against the salary cap. So theoretically, if we traded Lonzo Ball's $21 million for another player making, because you can take, I think it's 16 to the full 20 million we can take back, and it could match per the rules in the salary cap.
Yeah.
We wouldn't send us into the luxury tax because we already are booked for $21 million. So
it's so weird because, right, like, you almost feel like, of course, he's going to do that, because if you do trade away Zach LaVine, right, you got that 15% trade kicker, and that's how you just come out even at the end of the year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something like that. I think that the likely scenario always was that Lonzo Ball. I'm gonna tell you this right now: if Lonzo Ball can play basketball, he will play basketball again for the Chicago Bulls. If he can come back and he can get back on the court and he works himself back to a point where he is able to actually be able to run, jump, cut, all of that, he will play basketball again for the Chicago Bulls. The reason I say that is I watched them wait on Jamal Murray to come back for basically 3 seasons. 2 seasons, he kind of had like quarter seasons or half seasons, and they were just like, nope, still our guy. And guess what? Jamal Murray dealing with injury yet again. Like,
yeah,
big shock. Like,
we always make that comparison to the Jamal. It's a completely different. Even the Michael Porter Jr. This is a injury that he would be the first to come back from.
Oh, I agree with
in the NBA level.
I agree with you. I think the precedent is that they're more willing to wait on guys to get better and come back than they are to move on from guys who that at one point they've had a belief in. I'm not sitting here telling you that it's logical, and just because the Denver Nuggets won a championship with Jamal Murray, who was a big part of that because of it, that it's the right path to take. I'm also not telling you that Lonzo Ball's coming back here to give you Jamal Murray impact, right? Yeah. Like, I just feel like there are certain things in the organization that we can look at and go, yep, that makes perfect sense, because that's what they do and what they did in their other jobs. And they're probably going to continue to do that here.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Like, I think that it would be a surprise for them to use something like that. It'd be a bigger surprise, not from them, because listen, at the end of the day, you can't just say just because they held on to Jamal Murray that they're going to do the same thing. Like, it's a completely different scenario. They drafted Jamal Murray. They got to see him be really good. They believed in that. Like, and Lonzo Ball, at the end of the day, if he does come back, keep in mind this, is that he only will have 1 year left on his contract, and there's no guarantee that he's going to be able to play at a high level then. So, you know, I think this conversation is all for mute, because I don't think that it's going to get traded again, because more so than anything, Jerry Palpatine Reinsdorf is not going to allow that to happen.
Rise, my Lonzo Ball.
No, rise his bank account, because
his bank account would rise in that situation. Yes. Can never go wrong with that. No, I think that when we talk about moving on from veteran pieces, when we talk about, you know, the Bulls trade scenario finishing out this season, there are a lot of scenarios that, to me, we would see teams that are more willing to reset things than the Bulls are make those kind of moves, right? Like, for most teams, right, you trade away Zach LaVine. Well, it didn't work. We're blowing it up. That's how most teams in this NBA would operate. For the Bulls, it's like, we're trading away Zach LaVine, but Coby White's playing better. We're not blowing this thing up. We're going to keep veterans on the team. We're going to allow him to continue to thrive. We're hoping that Patrick Williams takes another step, even though it seems like he's never going to do that. And we're looking to see, you know, what Dalen Terry is going to become. And of course, we're going to draft this year and see if we can find a young player there. And we got Julian Phillips and Adamas. Like that. This is who we're going to be. They're going to go with young players until they find one where all of a sudden we go, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, but trading Lonzo Ball's contract doesn't mean you're still not going young players. It could help facilitate a deal for young players. But, I mean, at the end of the day, I think what we're seeing is going to be straightforward to what we've heard. Zach, possibly DeMar getting moved. You can't reach a contract extension. And other than that, it's continuity, baby.
Continuity, baby. Run it back.
Continuity.
Hey, listen, the Bears seem to be in on it. The Bulls are in on it. We all of Chicago's in on it. Connor Bedard ain't got no jaw, so they keeping that together. They trying to keep they trying to keep continuity with his bottom jaw and his top jaw. They trying, you know what I mean? Like, what do the White Sox got? The White Sox fired everybody in the organization and then immediately promoted the one dude that people were like, nah, they wouldn't do that. Continuity, baby. Cubs haven't done anything. Continuity, baby. Yeah, I mean, like, welcome to Chicago.
Continuity, the Chicago way. That's
the Chicago way. Continuity.
Chicago way. But next up, we're going to be talking about Coby White and his chances to win Most Improved Player of the Year. But before we do that, I got to talk to you guys about one of our sponsors, and that is FanDuel. The NFL regular season has wrapped up, but there's still time to get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. And you could bet on the Chicago Bulls, which are giving up 3.5 points to the Houston Rockets at home, no doubt in that one. I think the Bulls can clear. Let's hope they can clear that one. You could also take a look at other things around. For example, you can bet on the Toronto Raptors versus the Los Angeles Lakers. The Toronto Raptors giving up 4.5 points to the Lakers. How you feel about that, Pat?
The Lakers are trash, bro.
Exactly.
I'm not gonna lie to you, dog. Like,
bro.
I am completely thrown off by how bad they are. There's no way they're this trash.
Yeah, they literally went from winning the in-season tournament. That's the highlight of their season. They hung up that in-season. It's bad karma. They hung up that banner for the in-season tournament championship, and they haven't been good since.
It's so tough too, because it's like, man, like, are y'all gonna just not compete anymore? Like, it's over? That's it.
It's done, unless they trade for Zach LaVine. But back to FanDuel, the app is super easy to use, and there's so many different ways to bet, like live same-game parlays, find bets in the new Explore tab, make a parlay in the Parlay Hub, the best way to find popular parlays, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. All right, Pat, so Coby White. I love that you came around because, like, we started this off.
I just want to see the month change. I just want to see the month change.
You said you Coby White. He's been inconsistent. Heck, he said it in his media day. He's been inconsistent. So when Coby White started playing really well, you're one of the people that said, "Hold up, let's just make sure that this is going to be legit." On yesterday's episode, you said, "No, it's legit now." So let's talk about how legit is Coby White's chances to win Most Improved Player of the Year. Right now, it's a 2-man race between him and Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah. Which I feel like Tyrese Maxey is this, like, we knew he was good.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of jump? Like, if Tyrese Maxey wins, right? Is that a little bit of the John Morant winning Most Improved Player, where it was like, hey, listen, he most improved, but like, it's because he had a 10-point increase in his points, a 5-assist increase in assists. Like, you got to have that kind of jump to win the Most Improved Player and have been a good player last year. Now,
the only thing, and I agree with you, but maybe the only thing that holds Coby White back from that is he did have a season before of averaging 15 points per game, but it's different. You got to look at if you look at last season, Coby White's doubled. He averaged 9.7 points per game last season, and he's doubled that. And guess what? How many more shots than last year do you think Coby White's taking?
4.
6 more shots.
6, okay.
So to double it on 6 shots, efficiencies there over the last 20 games, right, from Coby White. Keep in mind, this takes a little bit before even Zach LaVine went down. 22.4 points per game, 5.9 rebounds, 5.6 assists. He's doing that on an amazing efficiency, shooting the ball at almost 46% and 41% from three-point range. Now, keep in mind, there were like 4 games in there he couldn't hit nothing from three-point range. So
yeah.
He's really playing really well right now.
Yeah, see, I feel like you can't put Tyrese Maxey, and listen, this is what I said, right? Tyrese Maxey is in the running for Most Improved Player, and it's between him and Coby White. And this is why I say 5 points per game make a difference in your career. How much do you think Tyrese Maxey averaged last year?
20 points, right at 20 points per game.
20 points a game. He was just under 4 assists a game. He's got that up to 6.6 assists a game. He is 20. Now he's averaging 25 to 26 points a game. 2 more buckets. You make 2 more baskets, and your whole perception of your career is different. But with what I'll say is, when I think about improvement, I I thought Tyrese Maxey was right, like, because is he another one that went after Patrick Williams, right?
Yeah, yes, I believe so.
Yeah, I thought we missed.
Pick 21st.
Yeah, we had the 4th pick in the draft. Yeah, I thought we missed. I thought that last year. Yeah, I mean, like, you're not surprising me with the play of Tyrese Maxey, and you're not surprising me by saying I gave this guy more minutes and he scores more points now. So I don't know about the Maxey MIP. I would say the Coby White most improved to me is the most legitimate most improved, because you took a guy who was a bench shooting guard and turned him into a starting point guard in the modern NBA, and a modern NBA starting point guard. I know, there's some of them out there that don't agree with that. I know you're watching, kid.
Now, there is a dark horse candidate in this race as well, and it's somebody that we have to talk about. While he's not garnering a lot of the public outcry for it, I do think that he is somebody that if he keeps ascending to what he's been doing, he could get in on this as well. And this is a guy we both like, Alperen Sengun.
To me, that's it. He's the only one I'm really worried about. And I don't even think that's dark horse. Like, it maybe because people haven't paid attention to him, but Alperen Sengun, I've been trying to get the Chicago Bulls to trade for him for 3 years now. Like,
they missed it now. It's too late.
Oh, yeah, it's over. I knew it was over the second Ime Udoka got there. But, like, when he came in his rookie year and he averaged 9 points a game, and they basically weren't using him. And
they also were playing him at small forward then.
Playing him at small forward. But every time he got in the post, his footwork was elite.
Yeah.
Every time he was back to the basket, his footwork was so pure. It was cocaine white pure.
That's a foot that you like.
That is a foot that I'm in on, dog. If I heard Alperen Sengun wanted to dip his toes in the Chicago Bulls, I'd be all over it. I'm just saying, bro. I've liked his game for a while now, and yes, he did improve from this year to last year. Now 7 points a game. I'm not gonna say only 7 points a game. 7 points a game. Rebounding is pretty much the same. Assists is up, but it's him becoming the number one on that team. The only thing about I guess that would be the only question is because they made him the number one, even though he already had a lot of the accolades, but you gave him more shots. Who's ahead in that race? And it's kind of the same thing for all three of them, right? Coby White gets the same debate. Tyrese Maxey gets the same debate. But to me, Coby White has done it. I'll say this. Coby White and Sengun have done it at a level that has improved their team vastly, while Maxey has done it at a level where the Sixers kind of maintained where they were in the East.
That's fair. That's a fair way to look at it. What do you think is the biggest things hurting Coby White's chances at most improved player?
There's a lot of season left. So it's time to fall off. Like, that's really all it is. I'm hoping that's not going to happen. Now I'm back in, right? I'm back in on Coby. I'm rocking with him. I think he's got the talent. I'm clap it up. Yeah, I mean, big love to Coby White. But at the end of the day, you got to keep this play up. I think that he'll be in the conversation no matter what if he can maintain this level of play. And if we're being honest, if he maintains the level of play we've seen in January, he'll be somebody by the end of the season who is averaging upwards of 23 points per game, 24 points per game, somewhere in there.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I use that last 20, because and he's got it up considered averaging right now on the season 18.2 points per game. But keep in mind, just a month ago, it was at like 14 points per game. Kobe's been killing it.
Yeah, no, he's been balling. He's been balling. And I love that he's not letting Zach LaVine take the reins back. And I hope that continues tonight when we play the Houston Rockets.
Yeah, and Billy Donovan has said it now on 2 different occasions when asked, is that Zach LaVine coming back will not impact Coby White's shots and his prioritization in the offense. Now, he said it. We got to make sure it's going to happen. But at least he said it. And I like to see that that's where Billy Donovan's mindset also is as the head coach, and making sure that he does not take away from what Coby White's been able to do.
Well, and I think here's the thing too, right? Here's what the thing that would solidify him as most improved player for me the rest of the season. Okay, you get everybody in this, whatever time frame this is, to buy in. You're the point guard. You to me right now, Coby White is one of the biggest leaders of this team. I know Zach is still here. DeMar is still here. Vooch is still here. Coby White is the voice that people seem to be suddenly listening to and rocking with. Can you get the guys that don't want to be here to buy in and start and maintain that level of play? Because if you can do that, one, to the organization, you're a godsend, because this seems like there's no answers here. And two, Now all of a sudden you look at Coby White as, oh, he's somebody that people are going to want to play with. He's somebody that people are going to want to build around. He's somebody that people are going to want to be on the same team with. And then you add that to everything else that you have in the building already. Now you feel like you've got a core piece of your team moving forward.
Great points were made.
Hey, man, before we get into this final topic, bro, we got to talk about can the Bulls make it 3 in a row? This is going to be a tough one. This is not going to be an easy game for the Chicago Bulls coming in here. We got to tell you guys first, though, about BetterHelp. Here's the thing. With BetterHelp, you guys know me and Haize, big proponents of going and seeking therapy. The show is brought to you by BetterHelp. And, I mean, around New Year's, a lot of times we get obsessed with how to change ourselves instead of just expanding what we're already doing right. Maybe you finally organized one part of your space and you want to tackle another, or maybe you're taking supplements every morning and you want to actually eat breakfast too. Therapy helps you find your strengths and weaknesses so you can ditch the extreme resolutions and make changes that really stick. That's what this year is all about. And in my experience, right, when you're talking about coming in and everybody makes these big New Year's resolutions, you end up burning yourself out very quickly because you don't know how to balance it. For me, the one thing that BetterHelp has really helped me with has been balance with work, balance with family, balance with just living life. And it's helping me, stay on the right track with everything that I'm trying to do. So if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist or switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, help.com/LockedOnNBA.
All right, last topic of the day, Patrick. Can the Bulls make it 3-0?
Today's the day,
when they face off against the Houston Rockets? And it's funny. We just talked about Afrin Sengun. I didn't even think about that when we did it. We faced them tonight.
Yeah.
The Houston Rockets. Can the Bulls get another dub against the second best defensive team in the NBA right now?
We're going to see a nice 78-76 game tonight, aren't we? That's what we got coming ahead of us. I think this is going to be a real interesting battle between our bigs with Vooch supposedly getting the start tonight versus Alperen Sengun. Alperen Sengun's a type of big that Vooch has struggled with, right? Those guys that kind of basically are just younger him. Now Sengun can do a little bit more with putting the ball on the floor, but I mean, like he's kind of that Jakob Poeltl style mold guy, right? Like that guy that we all wish that we had on our team every year. But we got the old version. But I feel like that's going to be really the battle to keep an eye on. And honestly, how is Billy Donovan going to again use Andre Drummond and Nikola Vucevic in this game? This is a team with Jabari Smith Jr., with Sengun that can get out and absolutely can rebound the basketball, push the tempo, slow things down when they need to. Like, this is going to be a hard-fought battle for the Bulls. I think this is going to be a really, really fun game. And I think that there's a good chance that the Bulls can make it a 3-in-a-row run, but it's going to be based off of, do you come out with the same style of defense while working back in a brand new lineup? It's going to be a little bit tougher for you.
The D is going to be important today.
I mean, listen, as Zion Williamson and porn star have found out down in Houston, the D is always important.
But no, all jokes
your
aside,
face.
They really need to. The Bulls are gonna have to lock in defensively in this game, and not to say that the Houston Rockets are one of the the second best defense in the league. Their offense is middle of the pack, just like the Chicago Bulls offense. So this is really going to come down to a team that can perform the best and shoot efficiently, step up defensively when needed as well. The Houston Rockets they've fallen towards the bottom of the NBA as offense. So we got to see how that's going to end up shaking out. And I think this is going to be one of the games where the bench is going to be important in this, especially Vooch and Zach are moving back into the starting lineup this game. When you look at that bench unit of Ayo, Alex Caruso, Dalen Terry, and Andre Drummond, those are four players that can defend that can rebound, that can get out in transition, and that bench unit and the intensity in which they play with is going to be hugely important in this game as well, because the Houston Rockets, while they only have one 20-point per game scorer on their team in Sengun, they still are a deep team of players that can fill it up if you let them.
I mean, they're very mirror image when you look at the two teams, right? When you look at points per game allowed, the Bulls allow 111, the Rockets allow 110. I mean, it's a very stout, two very stout defenses. Offensively, they're very similar. Bulls shoot a little bit better percentage from the field than Houston does, but like it's one of those games where it's like the Spider-Man meme. And you've got two now, what I think we can say for sure, two teams coming with young players that both are ascending, and you're really trying to use them a lot more in your game. And I think that's going to be very interesting to see kind of how it plays out. And listen, these games, I'll tell you this much. These games, if we're talking about most improved player, they matter. How'd you do against the guy that you were playing against? How'd you play in the game versus Alperen Sengun? Now, he can't go head up, right? And Tyrese Maxey cooked us. So,
yeah.
That's a tough one for Coby to I think Coby had that was one of his bad shooting games in that one too. So yeah, he's a little bit behind the 8 ball, but how's he going to come out and play? And what is this Bulls team going to do versus, this young Houston team defensively? It's going to be interesting to see.
Definitely. Always going to be interesting. I think when you look at them, they're Dylan Brooks, Tyrese, and Victor Oladipo all expected to be out in this game as well. That takes away some of their depth, but they still got more than enough. And they got some shooters on this team as well. And we know how the Bulls can have performed with that. So
Victor Oladipo still in the NBA?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
You didn't know that?
I mean, I knew, but like, I think it's one of those things that I knew it.
I mean, he hasn't played for them this season.
But you always expect him not to be playing.
Yeah, he hasn't played for them this season, so you'd be correct in that.
That's crazy that like teams keep signing him basically just for him to be there. Did he get hurt during the season, like during training camp or something? Like,
no,
or did he sign with them hurt? Like, I know he left last season hurt.
He got traded to them, didn't he?
He was on Miami last year, wasn't he? When he blew the knee out. Wasn't it a knee again? He blew his ACL out again, I think. Oladipo been hurt so much, bro. Like,
I don't know either.
Oladipo, hopefully he's there singing the national anthem, man. At the end of the day, appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page. He really does that, bro.
He was traded to the Rockets for 2 second-round picks.
And they traded that man just to get him to go away.
That's crazy. You guys can follow me at CEO Haize, man. We thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Locked On Bulls. We are free and available on every podcasting app and platform of your choice, as well as YouTube. For Pat the Designer, I'm Haize. This has been Locked On Bulls. Peace, y'all.
Peace.